everybody. Welcome back to Thrive Live. As you can see, we've got Ray and Jason in studio. And today we're going to discuss an article that they co-authored, called 3 Steps to Achieve the Greatest Organizational Breakthrough in 2021. So Jason, tell us a little bit about this article.
Hey, everybody. How are you?
Good.
Doing great.
I think the strangest thing about this video is that I'm in Texas, and it's actually cold enough to wear a sweater. So that doesn't happen very often. So the article was something that Ray and I had been thinking about for some time, and really what it was the discussion of how do we be more united internally and as an organization, and how do we leverage our social capital in terms of the goodwill and the good feeling that we have about our coworkers to be more in unity at work and potentially even in life. And so, as we know, and as everybody talked about, there's probably more disharmony at any time in our nation's history than ever. And so we really talked about what are the things that we can do in organizations to really improve harmony and unity. And the article was a culmination of those discussions in terms of how to improve social capital, et cetera. And one of the things that we've also been talking about is how those things can help when companies are beginning to think about what their culture looks like, or their company culture. Because I think that right now, if you haven't looked at your company culture in a while, it's time to really take stock of that exercise and have some opportunities to think about, is your company culture really where it needs to be for 2021? Because I think there's some different things and attributes that you need to have. And then if you've never really done a culture exercise, it's probably really, really about time to do a culture exercise to really focus in on what's important to your organization, what's important to your employees, and maybe some of the things that you have been doing as an organization, you need to either stop doing, or in many cases, you need to continue doing because they're really great. So the article really had, a number of things that came from it.
Yeah, and we really talked about three very distinct things in the article. One is really to understand your social capital. Two, really to promote unity in an organization. And then number three, to think about some of the team building things that you're trying to do, especially as everybody is working remotely. It becomes much more difficult to build those connections, in the workforce. If we talk about social capital, for us, we really think that social capital are, kind of what are those shared values that we have as a team, and social capital, it takes time to develop the social capital, so you really have to invest as a leader in your team and understanding, kind of what makes them tick. What are some of the the drivers, from a professional development perspective that somebody has, because they're not all the same. You cannot, reward people the same way, recognize people the same way. It really, even now, it's much more critical that managers understand their team, and they spend time with their individuals, not just in team meetings, but individual one-on-ones, to kind of understand exactly what makes that person tick, how to reward them, and how to get them enthusiastic about what they're doing on a day-to-day basis, and also what they want to do with their career, and how to develop them, because that is so important. Understanding that social interaction with your team is becoming even more critical now.
Exactly.
Yeah, and we want to come in and do that for you. So our goal is to help organizations do that and do that effectively, so that they can, really, engage differently than they have in the past, and that's really what we want to do. Is Ray and I want to come in and help you do that, and be a successful organization, in that process. I think the whole idea of unity, of people coming together, of improved social capital, and transparent wise in terms of what do we hold leaders and employees accountable for, are all important things in the building of what people are starting to call psychological safety, which is really important now because employees want psychological safety at work. I think those employers that are able to build the kind of environment where people feel, rewarded, and they feel there's unity, and they feel that, they can be themselves, and we can talk about hard things. Those are the organizations that are going to be able to hire. Those are the organizations that are going to do well. Those are the organizations that are going to get, the best talent. And so we want to help you get there. We've helped other companies get there, and it's our goal to really, be evangelists of this message right now.
And I think it's important as well, bringing in a consulting firm like Thrive HR. It doesn't look the same for every company, and having someone who's had experience such as you and the rest of the team has, coming into an organization really makes a big difference. Sometimes it's hard to see out of your own box of your own corporate, your own corporate scheme, and take in what somebody else has learned and incorporate that into part of your plan. So I think it's really important to consider hiring a consultant for these types of initiatives.
That's very, very true. And when we talk about culture, culture can be very difficult, to define for an organization. And many organizations say, well, we really don't have a culture. Well, you do have a culture. It's how you treat each other, what gets rewarded, what are the things that you provide for some employees that you don't provide for other employees. So we can come in and quickly do an assessment of your culture, and tell you exactly, you may have this written down as our culture, but the reality is how you behave and what you reward on a day-to-day basis really determines your culture, and employees know that. And if you're having some challenges organizationally, a lot of it can come back to, what are you rewarding? What are you communicating? And there's a lot of artifacts that we would look at to do that assessment, and very quickly we can tell you what some of the challenges are that you're running into around culture. And we'd love to help organizations do that.
I did one once, and I brought the findings to the CEO because he was really interested in it, and he looked at it, and he knew it was going to be bad, and he was like, "Oh my gosh, this is horrible." And he goes, "But I knew it was going to be horrible." So we showed him where we were and what we had to do to get there, and he was really committed, and we worked towards getting there. But a lot of times, it's not great, and you need to dig in and do it. So I give great props to that CEO. He's still a CEO now at some other companies, and you would know him if I mentioned his name, so I'm not saying anything. To his credit, he did that. But, going back to the thing about the consultant, and the good thing there is you can challenge some assumptions as a consultant. When you sit inside in an organization and as fresh and as innovative as I want to be, when I'm inside a corporation, you still have that, we're not going to be able to do that here.
Yeah.
Nobody's ever going to.
All your roadblocks, yeah.
Yeah, so you kind of get into that spot, and so the consultant's able to challenge some assumptions and ask some things differently. So that's why on these exercises, going to the outside consultant is a good process to use. And the other thing that I want to advocate is we're not going to come in and charge $500,000 for this exercise. Ray and I's vision when we started this corporation was that we would be very logically based on how we price things. So we want this to be an affordable exercise for your team. So come and talk to us. It's not going to be some outrageous cost. It's going to be very affordable, very doable. And then you'll come out on the other side of this feeling really, really good about where your organization and your team is. So, Jane.
Yeah.
Excellent point.
Definitely, definitely. And the other thing we want to leave you with is, one of the things we talk about in the article is team building, and why that is so important right now, in the environment we're in, where everybody is working remotely. We're starting to see some things happening. Some organizations are doing a really, really good job on promoting team building and working with their teams. To kind of align and make sure folks are connected. And it's really, really tough right now, when employees are trying to do remote learning of their kids, when they're sharing a home with multiple individuals working from home, with limitations to bandwidth challenges. It's like, can you hear me? Can you hear me? The norm now at the beginning of a Zoom meeting. You're on mute, Ray. You're on mute. So, we'd love to talk to you about the things we're seeing from a team building perspective, and really thinking about how you connect the team. Right now, we're leading an effort to do some compensation work for an organization, and the project's got a very tight timeline. So we do 8:30 daily stand-up meetings, so that we can talk for 5 minutes or 30 minutes, but let's figure out what we've got to get done today. Let's figure out how to remove blockers or get you information so you can complete your assignments. And then we basically are tracking it day to day. So that's become very popular. Doing virtual stand-up coffees or virtual happy hours. Be careful with the virtual happy hours, because the last thing you want to do is do a bourbon tasting when somebody on your team may have an alcoholism problem. So just be sensitive to those kinds of things, but be creative. The best one I've heard was going and hiring a goat to attend your meeting, a goat to meeting, just as a way to kind of change things up. And again, these are all rescue goats that will spend the first 10 minutes of the meeting talking about their farm and what they do. You talk about engaging your audience.
Yeah.
Bringing a goat at the beginning of the meeting will just blow people away. And so just again, do different things to make the meetings interesting for the participants and your team.
Yeah,
a little bit of Michael Scott in The Office. So you might get a goat.
Yeah, the goats and other Zoom animals. You can go online if you have questions about how to find it. Give us a ping, because they'll zoom into your meeting. You can do monkeys. You can do goats. You can do giraffes. You can do all sorts of stuff, and you can do a virtual interaction with them. But one of the things that Ray said is really important is we need to be doing things that are energizing to people. Kind of the whole Zoom thing is starting to lose its luster because it's difficult to continue to do it. So things that are energizing, we can help you figure that out. And then, I just know how difficult it is. In January, we had 3 kids in the house learning through Zoom, 3 adults in the house working through Zoom. I was about ready to Zoom out to the beach because I was ready to throw my computer with everything that was happening. So we know it. We'll help you. We'll talk you through it. And, we look forward to working with you. You can reach me at jason@thrivehrconsulting.com is our email. Our website is thrivehrconsulting.com. And Ray, your email is?
Ray, REY, at thrivehrconsulting.com. So track us down. We'd love to talk to you. And we look forward to talking to folks.
Excellent. Thank you, guys. Thanks for the chat. Good to catch up. Great article. We'll post a link to that article when we pop this video up on YouTube. So go ahead and click on that, and we'll talk later. Thanks, guys.
Great. Thank you,
Thank
Beth.
you.
Bye. See
Bye-bye.
you.
Bye-bye.